Hello and welcome to section 8.3, which gets us into some trigonometry. So trigonomic ratios are equivalent ratios of the corresponding sides of similar right triangles. So sine equals the hypotenuse leg over the hypotenuse, cosine equals the adjacent leg over the hypotenuse, and tangent equals the opposite over the adjacent. So in my picture here, I guess I should probably tell you what the corners are. And this is a right triangle. Otherwise you won't be able to know which one's the adjacent or opposite or hypotenuse. So this says, what are the sine, cosine, and tangent ratios for angle G? So angle G is this one. And so if I go back up here and look at sine, sine is the opposite leg. So the opposite leg would be 15. And the hypotenuse of this triangle would be 17. So your sine is 15 over 17. You could divide that out and get the actual answer, but on this one they just want the ratio. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent leg would be this 8. It's connected to it. And the hypotenuse is still your 17. So 8 over 17 would be your cosine. The tangent is the opposite leg, which again is this 15, over the opposite over the adjacent. So this one is your adjacent. So 15 over 8 would be your tangent. And like I said, you could divide that out and get the actual answer, but that's not what we need to do in this example. You just need to be able to keep these three things clear, which leg it is that you're working with for which one. So a little more detailed example here. Find W in the following triangles. And so depending which side it is that you're looking for, that's going to change what it is you need to do. And so on this first one here, I'm trying to find W. I give you the degrees on this one, not the side. And so you have to go about it in just a little different way. You're going to have to use a calculator for this. And we're going to round them to the 10th when we do it. So because I know this angle right here, and the two legs that I have are the opposite, which would be this one, and the hypotenuse, which is this one. If you go back up and look, which one involved the opposite and the hypotenuse, it's the sine, this one. So that's the formula I'm going to use. So I'm going to do sine of 54 degrees equals my W over 17. Okay, so when I plug that into my calculator, and I'm going to switch to a different screen here in a minute, but this is how I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to go sine 54, and I need to, if I'm solving for W, I need to get that 17 out of there, which means I'm going to multiply this side times 17. So I'm going to go times 17. Oops, not sure what happened there. So I'm going to switch to my other screen here, and I'm going to show you how to plug that in. And so we would click the sine button and then type in 54, and then you need to close your parentheses and then times 17 equals, so to the nearest tenth it is 13.8. so I can flip back to here and write in 13.8 is the sine of a 54-degree angle with those two sides given. Like I said, you're going to have to figure out how to use a scientific calculator for this section. So you should have done a little bit of this in Algebra 1, so hopefully it won't be too bad. So W on this one, I have an angle right here that they give me, and so I have the adjacent leg and the hypotenuse. So if you go back up here and look, adjacent hypotenuse would be this cosine. So then when I do it, I have opposite and adjacent. It's the tangent. So I have the opposite leg over there and the adjacent leg. So tangent, so I'm going to do the tangent of a 28-degree angle, and that's going to equal my 1 divided by my W, which is your opposite divided by adjacent. And so again, I want to solve for W, which means I need to get W out of the bottom. So I'm going to multiply both sides times W, and then I need to get this out of there to get W by itself. So I'm going to actually then divide 1 by the tangent of 28 degrees. So if I flip back to my calculator, when I plug this in, I'm going to go click the tangent button, my degrees, which is 28 degrees. I'm going to close my parentheses. Oops, I need to start with my 1. So 1 divided by my tangent, 28 degrees. Close my parentheses, get my equal, and so I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth, and then go back here and write in my answer is 1.9 for that one. The next one, I have a 33-degree angle, and I do not have the opposite one across from that. I don't know that one, which means that I have my adjacent and my hypotenuse. And so if I go back up here and look, adjacent hypotenuse is this cosine. So we know we're going to use cosine for this one. So we're going to do cosine of a 33-degree angle equals your W over 4.5. Again, I'm trying to solve for W, so you get that 4.5 out of there. That's how I know how I'm going to plug it into my formula, into my calculator. I'm going to plug in cosine 33 times 4.5. So I'm going to switch back to that screen and do cosine 33, close your parentheses, and take that times 4.5. And so to the nearest tenth, that is 3.8. So switch back to my other screen, plug in the answer, 3.8 for that one. And we'll get plenty of chances, plenty of opportunities to practice these. So don't worry too much if you don't remember a lot from Algebra 1, we'll be fine. So this one says find the value of x to the nearest degree. So on this one, the degree is missing. On the other 3 examples we just did, we had the degrees. So this one's going to be a little bit different. So if you look at what sides we have the opposite side and the adjacent side. So if you go back up to your little formulas here, your equation, whatever you want to call it, we have the opposite and adjacent, so that would be a tangent. So then tangent of x degrees equals your opposite over your adjacent, which is 8 divided by 5. If you divide your 8 by 5, it is 1.6. And so when you plug this in, you're going to have to do it differently. You're going to have to use tangent negative 1 times your 1.6, which is what this is divided out. Okay? So if I flip back to my calculator, I'm going to plug in. To get to my tangent negative 1, I have to use second function, and it's called atan. And it was 1.6. Don't know why that keeps popping up. Close your parentheses. And to the nearest degree, it is 58 degrees. So, switch back here. Our answer is 58 degrees to the nearest degree. And like I said, don't let this scare you if you don't remember a whole lot about it. We'll have plenty of chances to figure this out. So this is just a quick introductory, or quick review, I should say, of trigonometry. So bring this knowledge with you, and we'll talk about it more the next time I see you. Have a good night.